Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I want to take a closer look at some semiconductor news. I want to start off first with manufacturing updates impacting a lot of equipment companies. Next, I want to take a closer look at actually another manufacturing company, TSMC. We have heard reports of their next generation 2 nanometer chips, and beyond that, their A14, which is going to pretty much be their 1.4 nanometer chip or their 14 Armstrong. And outside of that, I also want to take a closer look at some Nvidia news. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is this huge investment coming out of New York. It was reported on December 16th that the Albany Nanotech will house North America's first and only publicly owned high-NA extreme ultraviolet lithography sensor. Within this, we're going to see a nice investments of $10 billion with various money coming in from public companies and others from the state of New York. And for those that are not familiar, high-NA extreme ultraviolet lithography is used for the design process of the most advanced chips. In theory, this is for 2 nanometers and below. They do mention that this partnership includes significant private investments from companies like IBM, Micron, and Applied Materials. This is going to be roughly $10 billion, and the partnership will fund the construction of a cutting-edge high-NA extreme ultraviolet lithography center that will support the research and development of the world's most complex and powerful semiconductors. So obviously this does bode well for a lot of companies. First, the big ones are going to be the semiconductor equipment companies like ASML, because ASML is the only one that builds the high-NA EUV machine, and this is that machine that's over $300 million.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
The other ones are obviously going to be other semiconductor equipment companies like Applied Materials, like Lam Research, just because you need all those to kind of go side by side with some of the solutions that we're seeing here in this plant. The other kind of benefits are just semiconductor companies in general, which can obviously boost their research and development here in New York. So that's pretty bullish. They do mention obviously that the purchase is going to be ASML's EXE 5200 high-NA EUV. For those that are not familiar, this is their new machine. Intel, I do believe, is getting the first one or got the first one, and we're going to start to see other players start to get this in the upcoming quarters. So obviously I do believe this bodes really well, and we do see a lot of kind of semiconductor equipment companies do really well in the past 5 days. We can see, for example, Lam Research in the past 5 days is up roughly 4%. ASML, another big player here, is up roughly 5% in the past 5 days. Applied Materials is up roughly 6.4%. And that's because we continue to see this nice bullish trend in semiconductor equipment spending. I mean, another kind of report came out here in earlier today where Samsung and ASML to invest roughly $760 million to build the advanced chip plant in South Korea. So we continue to see this kind of globalization of chip manufacturing, and obviously that bodes well for a lot of semiconductor equipment companies. I do believe the semiconductor equipment companies that are also going to be doing pretty strong recently are going to be the ones that provide solutions for the memory market, like Lam Research, because we are seeing reports that the memory market rebound continues. So this obviously bodes well for a lot of companies that are investing in memory solutions. Now, I want to take a closer look at some other news, but before we do that, guys, I do want to say thank you for the support. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Check out my weekly exclusive videos at membership. Just click join to learn more. Next, check out fool.com/Jose for special offer. And check out my free Substack at josenaharo.substack.com for my free newsletter. Now, I do want to say I am an owner of Applied Materials. I am not an owner of any of the other manufacturing equipment players in the top level, right? I actually have a lot of small players in the semiconductor equipment companies like Bessie, like Nova, and the list goes on and on. But a lot of small players, less than $10 billion. Obviously, that bodes well for them, but I do want to say most investors probably are not in those companies. So we can see that even though the big players are doing really well right now. Right now, I do want to say these are stocks that are now overperforming the semiconductor market to some extent, minus ASML. If I was to be looking at any companies right now, I think ASML would be my first choice in forms of price performance, or risk to reward ratio at the moment would be ASML, followed by Applied Materials, and followed by Lam Research. But at the moment, I have no intentions of buying any of them, but I just want to share my thoughts as maybe some of you guys might be interested in that. Now, the second thing I want to take a closer look is there are reports that Nvidia is to witness a shocking 150% year-over-year surge in AI shipments in 2024. And this is already, I mean, I've seen Nvidia. Nvidia is my number one position in my overall portfolio. Year to date, the stock is dominating, up 236%. Every quarter, they continue to showcase strong growth in the data center market. And sometimes I'm fearful. I'm like, hey, when does this end? Is this the top? And they just keep outperforming and outperforming. And now with AMD most recently showcasing the overall market expected to grow from I forget 70% compounded annual growth rate to roughly 400 billion in 2027, it just makes me even more bullish on Nvidia. At the moment, it's already my number one position, so I'm not buying at the moment, but I can definitely see why certain investors are still excited with Nvidia. I mean, if we take a closer look at PE ratio forward 1 year, so that's the end of next fiscal year, so that's 1 quarter, 1 year away, PE ratio is 24. I believe that it is insane if these numbers are actually true, and who knows, these numbers can actually be underestimating because we really don't know how fast this AI market can grow. Now, outside talking with Nvidia, one of their biggest dependent is TSMC. TSMC needs to continue to expand their CoWoS capacity. So obviously that's going to be a big play if Nvidia is able to meet those expectations. But most recently, TSMC did mention their 1.4 nanometer process technology for the first time. So in the past, TSMC has really only talked about their 2 nanometers. They haven't really mentioned much below there. So we can see TSMC's stock is sitting at roughly $100 year to date. It's pretty much performing to the overall space. So TSMC does mention that they do expect 2 nanometer mass production to be on track for 2025. And they now named their new node of 1.4 nanometer A14. TSMC has not disclosed when they plan on high manufacturing this A14 product, but obviously it's most likely expected for somewhere between 2027 and beyond, as N2 is scheduled for late 2025, and then the most advanced N2 is scheduled for late 2026. TSMC continues to dominate, but by 2026 and 2027, Intel's also going to be in this high advanced manufacturing process as well with their 18A and their 20A. So something to keep in mind out for competition. And Samsung is also going to be playing there. So at the moment, in forms of TSMC, I'm personally not buying. I do like this when it's kind of closer to that $85. Right now, TSMC, I do believe, is going to just be a market performer. So I really like it when it's way below the overall standard. So I just wanted to take a closer look at some recent semiconductor news. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.